Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my The Last of Us Remastered Grounded difficulty walkthrough, and this is chapter 8, also known as the Lakeside Resort, and this is part 2 of that chapter. And the first part of this chapter was very action based, a lot of combat, a lot of fighting to be frank, and this is a bit more stealth based. But we start off this part of chapter by running away on Callus because some hunters have started searching for Ellie and Joel. So in an attempt to draw their attention away from Joel, who is still hurt after his encounter with the rebar, we take off down the street. And you direct the horse by moving the right analog stick. As you move the camera, the horse turns in that direction. And it's quite easy, just try to stay out of the enemy's paths. I think it's a bit RNG based, and there's a fork in the road which side of it they will be on, but just try to stay on the other side of where they are. As Callus takes a gunshot to the neck and down he goes. Rest in peace, Callus. And now we're gonna sneak on through a collection of little cabins. As soon as we get down this hill and jump in through this little window, and there's gonna be a little transition right there, and that is just me getting through that bedroom because I died a few times attempting this. And the key behind getting through this area is being aggressive. You saw me pick up a bottle, and we are gonna use that to get out of this area. So at the start, just run, and then we start sneaking. Stay to right, you see a guy patrolling over there. There's a bit of an RNG factor to how the enemies patrol here at the end. Sometimes he's going to the left, sometimes he's going to the right, but just try to adapt to the situation. And we're gonna climb this little ledge, and this is where the bottle comes in handy, because you see one guy over there, and I always sit over here and throw the bottle, climb up this staircase and stab this guy. Stabbing him is optional depending on which way he's facing, because we're gonna have to get past this wooden ledge, and if he was going the right way, he would have spotted us and we would have died. You can get spotted while you're up here, as I do, but just run around the corner and you get out of their line of sight and their line of firing, which is even more important. And then you can continue onwards. You have reached the checkpoint somewhere between sneaking through that little cabin area and this place. And in this part of the chapter, there is also a fight where we're gonna break the game, because aggression is the key to getting through this chapter as easy as possible, basically, because the game wants you to progress slowly and we are not gonna do that, and then the game doesn't know what to do. So as soon as you get out through this tunnel, start running. Run as fast as you can, keep running down here until you reach that barbecue well thing over here. Duck down and start sneaking, because there are some enemies over here, and you can see stayed right outside his line of sight, and move up here. As you can see, we're being quite aggressive, and that will get you through this. I check around me to see that everyone is going on their little patrol patterns, and I'm just waiting for this guy right in front of us to stray off to one of the sides. He decides to go to my right, so I make a left, and climb up here and continue onwards. And that was easy. As I said, aggression can sometimes be very good to use when you're going through these stealth sequences, as you will have progressed further than the game expects you to, and the spawns will be a little bit off. So move the container, jump into this window, and we can go onwards. Of course, check through everything, see if you find anything useful. And when you come in here, there is an enemy to the right outside. He will start firing at you, but he's not a big threat. He can't come in here, and there are 2 enemies inside this building. And this is the last time you will fire a gun with Ellie, so feel free to use whichever weapon you want. I decided to go with the bow because I wasn't quite sure if there was only 2 or 3 enemies left. And I used the bottle on his little friend. Quick stab to the thorax. Pick up some bullets and head for the exit. Very easy, very simple, especially for grounded mode. Pick up a bottle and just run over to this door, and we can go into the next section of this little chapter. And now we're playing as Joel. He's recuperated quite well from his wounds, and this is where we're gonna break the game. Progress up this street down over to the right, because there's a big spawn of enemies coming in front of you, and I'm gonna push that spawn backwards. I'm not gonna fight any of them. Instead, I'm gonna try to reach a point where they start retreating, and if you continue onwards from that point, you will get to their next retreat point, and you will basically bypass this entire battle, which is quite an amazing strategy. If I may say so myself. So I move over to this little what's it called, and I start running. Hopefully you will not get killed. And now I reached the retreat point, and whatever you do now, just keep running. You'll get very close to them. Don't try to shoot them or stab them or anything, just keep running, because that will push their spawns backwards. You get into this house and you're safe. You just bypassed a big gunfight. So jump out this window over this trash container, and we're in the next section, which is the blizzard. A thing to know about this blizzard area is that the snow doesn't just impair your vision, it impairs the enemy's vision as well. So their line of sight is very bad, and we are gonna use that to our advantage. And this is also one of those areas where there is RNG plays a small role in how the enemies patrol. But I like to move over to this left side, keep these containers, because their eyesight is bad, but they're not blind. So we sneak through this little alleyway. Be aware, because there is an enemy up there on the walkway, but he moves over to the left, so we climb up this little electrical what's it called? Fuse box. Here's the drawback of being Swedish and talking English. Sometimes I can't find the words, but I usually get there in the end. So we climb the fuse box, we walk past the walkway, hide behind these cars, keep the brick in handy. If you run into an enemy, you can throw it in his face, and hopefully you'll get out of dodge before anyone sees you. Climb up here and hug this left wall, and we're gonna sneak in into this little store over here. There are 2 enemies coming into this store, so be very aware of them. I hang out outside the wall for a little bit and do a little hopping dance, apparently. Trying to see where they are, see if I can trigger them to walk into the store and start patrolling. But I don't seem to be so lucky today, so I just go balls to the wall, sneak in, sneak out through the first window, and start hiding behind these concrete things and the cars. We are almost at the end of this little sneaking area, but if this goes wrong, this is usually where it happens, at the end, as always, especially since there are no mid-battle checkpoints. And that can be quite frustrating, because as you can see, this is quite a long area, or quite a long section, and it's very frustrating when you get to almost the end and someone sees you, they shoot you, and you have to start over at the beginning. But he went over to right, so we can continue onwards. And just take a second to look at the snow, at the cars, and you see those little layers of snow. Oh my god. And I am so psyched for The Last of Us Part 2. I suspect it will be even more beautiful and even more amazing than this game is. But we get into restaurant and the boss fight with David.
No one that heard that.
The first stab of this fight is consistent. Just move around this table and step on the plates. You're gonna have to stab David 3 times, and for each time you stab him, he gets more aware and more dangerous. And this fight can be over in under a minute, and you can be here all day long. You're gonna get really tired of his comments, because you're gonna hear them probably. And here something very weird happens. Because I try to steer him in the direction I want him, and I figured he's backing up towards me and maybe I can stab him, and you saw him passing me? I don't know. I have no idea what happened there. It has never happened to me before, and I have tried this fight many times. I have succeeded at it at least 3 times on Grounded, and never before has that happened, that he has walked past me and not seen me. And I'm so glad it happened on the run where I succeeded in this fight, because it's one of those moments, if you don't have it on video, people won't believe you it actually happened. But this fight is very RNG based. You're gonna have to be very careful, because if you stay close to the smoke for too long, you're gonna start coughing and he can hear that. If you step on the plates, he's gonna hear that, and he seems to have some kind of bat hearing, because sometimes he can hear you when it seems as when you get too close to him, and if you don't press the stab button or triangle button directly, he's gonna do some mental psychic super trick and just realize you're behind him and turn around and stab you. So I move around very slowly. I try to keep an eye on where he is, and if he is moving into a direction where I want him to be. It's quite good to take your time, and I get amazingly lucky, because he runs over to the corner where I was sitting, and I don't see him there, so I realize he's sitting with his back around the corner. So I just sneak back and go in for the third stab. And that is the end of David, also known as the Cannibal and probably child molester. And once again we're playing as Joel, and we're still searching for Ellie. And this is also very easy. You can stealth through this entire section and just sneak past the guards. Abuse the fact that there eyesight is a lot worse than yours. So keep to the left, go into this house and jump out this window. And you see a container that we're gonna sneak through with some burning barrels on top of it. There's also a guy with a bow or something on top of it, but he doesn't see us, and when you move over to the entrance to that container, you trigger a spawn of 2 enemies. And as soon as they are triggered, go back behind this crate, and you see one of them jumping out, and he starts walking away, and very soon there comes his friend, and he starts walking off in another direction, and you can just sneak past them and into the container and onwards. And that is the great thing about blizzards, people. It lets you conserve your ammo and stay out of trouble. And when you get through the container, you stay to the right side. I think there are still a few enemies that we're gonna sneak past down this street, but as long as you stay to the right, you can see them over there on the left side of the screen. Hide behind these cars and they will never know you were even there. So just take your time. Everything is all good and well, and you will get through this area and to where Ellie is in no time at all. So we get past this burning barrel, and you have just sneaked past every enemy in this area. And we get into this house, and that is the end of the chapter and also the end of this episode. I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.